Right now it's about 11:30 in the morning on a Tuesday morning in merry old England, where it's about 8 degrees outside and I think it's raining. Have I got that right? The wonderful Nigel Farage, Brexit leader, freedom fighter, GB News host?
Absolutely bang on. Yes, this is a classic English spring. It's raining day after day after day.
And those are not just the tears of Harry and Meghan, but Harry's in court right now. See what I did then? Why is he in court? Why is Elton John cheering him on? And what's their privacy?
This is really interesting. So we had a massive scandal in the British press over phone hacking, over the behaviour of investigative reporters hired by newspapers. And guess what? The big court cases, the big prosecutions, the closure of the News of the World, the biggest Sunday newspaper in the country, all happened only to one media organisation, that owned by Rupert Murdoch, right? So it was the Murdoch empire that got in serious trouble over this and took the abuse. No other media organisation received any punishment at all when no one doubts they were using exactly the same techniques. Harry's in court with Elton John, with a host of other lovies, and they're taking on the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday. And hold on to your hats. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but for once, I think Harry actually has a case. I do think the British media in years went by. Yeah, I'm sorry, I know it's difficult.
Hand in your gun and your badge. Hand it in.
No, the British press went way too far. We've got new laws that have made it clearer as to what extent people's privacy can be invaded. I know it sounds a joke with Harry and Meghan moving to the West Coast for privacy and going on a world tour, but in this particular case, I do think our press went way, way too far. And it isn't just Harry and Elton John that were affected by it. Frankly, things were done to me that were way outside the law. So we need to get the balance right.
No, fair point. Here's part of what the Prince, Duke, whatever, Harry had to say today.
Today, Harry. You've said it. What do you hope to achieve, sir?
Of course, he saves his talking for the court or Netflix or a book, or you get my point. Let's talk about Joe Biden, because today we had this horrific scenario where it's irrelevant whom the shooter is, but obviously people died at a school, teachers and kids. We all know what Sandy Hook did to all of our collective consciousness about the evils of people who commit those crimes. The immediate response, of course, from the left is greater gun control, when the reality is that lawful gun owners don't end up doing things like this. But it's the way that Joe Biden responded. This was big. It was in the news. It is everywhere. He was at the White House, and this is what he said today.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband, and I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. I think I'm kidding. I'm not. God. Ben, how are you, pal?
Okay, ridiculous, because obviously when there's a national tragedy, and that's what this is, to not just walk out, deal with that, instead, regardless if it's a room full of school kids or anything else, that's very weird behaviour from the president. We know the reaction would be very different if it was a red-hatted MAGA shooter.
Look, I think the truth of it is that we should be angry at the way Biden behaved, the lack of decorum, the lack of respect. But you can't be angry at somebody whose mental faculties suggest he should not be holding any senior position at all, let alone as leader of the free world. This guy is mentally incapacitated. He should not be there. So really, in some ways, I almost pity him rather than anger.